Folks, Thursday edition of College Sports Now. We're coming in hot. It is February the 27th. You know what that means. We are days away from the calendar flipping over to March. There is beaucoup college basketball to be discussed on the show. Matt Norlander from CBS Sports and the Eye on College Basketball podcast is with us. John Fanta, friend of the program, Fox Sports, Field of 68, legend, is going to join us in about 30 minutes.
Also CBS Sports. The man's everywhere. He does Peacock. I mean, what doesn't he do?
He does. Yeah, he is a jack of all trades. He is a real Swiss Army knife. Last time we spoke with him, he was promoting his bowling coverage. He is the voice of the U.S. Open bowling, or at least he was. Maybe we'll find out if that's still the case. The point is, Fanta's going to join the show in about 30 minutes. Super excited to talk to him. We can get the pulse on all things. I mean, Big East, CAA. I mean, the dude's locked in. Okay, we're all locked in because it's February the 27th. Norlander, good to see you. You are fighting it a little bit. You've got a little, I don't know if you got like a throat lozenge in. You got the Ricola.
I'm a little Ricola situation right now.
I told you to hit the vitamins, man. Little elderberry, little echinacea. It can't hurt this time of the year. That's all I'm saying.
I got to get back in. You know, I was on an elderberry kick a couple years ago, and I just fell off the wagon. I got to get back on.
It works. It's part of my vitamin regimen. Quick shout out to a couple of the shows here in the CSN feed. Rob Joyce and Megan Gower are dropping the Gower Hour. It's part of the Her Hoop Stats collaboration that we have here on CSN. Women's basketball is picking up steam in a big way. Obviously, conference tournament week for the ladies starts next week. Rob and Megan have a show that drops every Friday called the Gower Hour. It's right here in the CSN feed, so check that out. Also, we got the 3D college baseball show. Ping! That drops every Tuesday for those of you diehards that are like, you know what? It's late February. I want to know what's going on the diamond. Kyle Schasberger and David Kahn do a great job with that show. So we've got in total 4 shows a week that are dropping here on the CSN feed. Norlander, obviously, we are the main attraction here, you specifically, so we appreciate that.
I'll take it.
We have put a call out for folks to leave reviews. Yeah. There is a fresh review that I have linked in the doc, so if you could click on that link and read the latest review here for CSN. Norlander, the floor is yours because we promote people leaving these reviews, so we'd like to read them here on the show.
Folks. I have not read this review, so here we go. 5-star, Fluffy Llama Man-Child.
It's a real person.
It's a great name, Fluffy Llama Man-Child. This podcast exemplifies intellectual rigor and basketball acumen, providing an insightful fusion of advanced statistical analysis and nuanced commentary. That reads like something off of ChatGPT. I got to be honest, Hartzell. I mean, it's a well-written sentence, but our audience, really, they're compiling this kind of thought. What is this? The host's erudition is evident, offering a meticulous dissection of the game's intricate dynamics. A must listen for aficionados seeking profound, thought-provoking discourse on collegiate basketball. This is a ChatGPT automated review.
How do you know? Because you're a writer?
I'm a writer, and this is trying way too hard.
Or
5
perhaps,
stars. I can't complain. 5 stars.
Okay. Perhaps it's a real person. So thank you, Fluffy Llama Man-Child, for your review of CSN. Again, Fanta's going to join the show in about 25 minutes. There is a lot of basketball to get to. And we start with Wednesday Night Lights. Michigan State going on the road, taking on Matt Norlander's Crab 5 in College Park.
I did just also write about Michigan State, and I'm in the process of also doing a feature on Tom Izzo. So these are both my teams.
Yeah, you like to hedge your bets here. You also have Maryland as a Final Four contender, bro. That was one of your legit national championship picks.
I can't step off that yet. Not a good night for the Crab 5. However, don't even tease me and tell me you have sound of this, because this was one of the shots, maybe the shot of 2025 so far, went down in College Park last night. Do we have sound?
We do have sound. I'll tie it up. Tied at 55, final seconds. Maryland with the ball. Sound, please.
Gillespie for 3. Goal or no. Holloman looks the clock. Half court for the win. Oh my goodness. Holloman from half court to win it on the road.
That's audio courtesy of Fox Sports. Spartan Radio Network, completely non-existent. No idea where you guys are. I don't know why there's not Michigan State Radio Network sound from that game. Not a Learfield school. Not my problem. Fox Sports on the audio there. 58,
Jason Horowitz,
55. Jason Horowitz. Nice call, big fella. Nice
really
call.
Yes.
Norlander, do they call him the Crab 5 because they were only able to scratch for 55 in this game? Like what happened?
Well, yeah. Yeah, this game they were playing in the mud, which is why I am in love with college football. All right. This sport is just unbelievable. It was a tough game. The teams were it was just elbows and scratches and gnawing teeth, and then Trey Holloman just gets a clean look from 60 and cashes in. Tom Izzo told Andy Katz in the post-game on-court interview after, first of all, Andy asked him something, and Tom Izzo goes, "Did you watch?" Because I think Izzo was like quasi in shock, and then he said, "It was a lucky shot, but we deserved the win." He's right about that. Tough L for Maryland. Although Michigan State, they had the lead big, and then they gave it up, and then they could have taken the lead with Jackson Kohler, who missed a bunny, and then Jacoby Gillespie lets just not a good shot. I was texting with Robbie Hummel afterward, about 30 minutes after it went final, and I was like, did Willard and that staff, did they communicate to make sure like you take the last shot? I mean, there was like 5.1 on the clock, I think, when he released the shot. It's unlikely that Holloman's going to make a long court shot. I get all that, but you left enough daylight, and so Michigan State now has 7 straight wins against Maryland, and it was Michigan State's a win to keep them atop the Big Ten standings. It was their 23rd win of the season. MSU is 23-5. It was the fewest points they scored in a game this season, 58, and yet they still get the win there. Also, Maryland's fewest points in a game this season, 55. Those are a couple of teams that have actually been pretty solid on offense in terms of their efficiency margins. Last night, sometimes two teams meet, it goes an entirely different direction, and that's what we had. Big win for Sparty. Sparty is now, it really has a case as a 2 seed. It has been able to flip something recently. So it had lost 3 of 4. It got dropped at home. Remember the night that Izzo was supposed to break Bob Knight's Big Ten wins record. That was supposed to happen against Indiana when that game was at Breslin. Indiana won that game. They tossed them zone at Sparty and really got them twisted. Since then, not just 4 wins in a row. 4 wins in a row with 3 of them on the road, and the 3 wins on the road coming against NCAA tournament teams, all top 25 KenPom teams. They won at Illinois. They beat Purdue at home. They won at Michigan, and then they win at Maryland. Big-time stuff. Next game is Sunday on CBS against Wisconsin.
I would love to know where Jerry Palm, Joe Lunardi, some of the nation's premier bracketologists have Michigan State in their updated brackets. However, both of those guys have gone AWOL for the last 72 hours. Which again, guys, it's February 27. Like you are in demand. There are millions of Americans waking up on a Thursday morning, rolling out of bed, looking at the scores from Wednesday night, and wondering how is that going to be reflected in fill in the blank. Who's your go-to bracketologist? Both Jerry Palm from CBS Sports and Joey Brackets at the Worldwide Leader have not updated their web pages since February the 24th. Again, must be nice to be on the payroll.
To that, I would think
just
we'll have
disappear for 3 days in late February. Unbelievable. All right, Wednesday night. Here's how this worked. Michigan State and Norlander's Crab 5 tipped at 6:30 Eastern time. You heard the buzzer beater there. Trey Holloman from beyond half court with the game-winning 3 as time expired. A lot of surrender Cobra situations.
Dude, I saw, by the way, the video that was getting shared on that. I didn't watch Van Pelt's SportsCenter show last night. I know he had it, but there are a couple of shared vids from that, and Van Pelt's courtside, as he should be, as he always is, and you can just see the body language after the shot by Holloman goes in, and then he tweeted, "Ha ha ha, that's cool. Now I have to go to work," which he did. He works in Greater DC. Was there in College Park. Tough scene for SVP.
Yeah, tough scene. Do I feel sorry for that man? He's got a studio in his backyard. Like, no, that guy's living the absolute dream. My point here is that game tipped at 7:30. You had that ending.
Yeah.
And then we roll right into these 7 o'clock and then later 9 o'clock games that are ending. My point is, like, it made you sit up in your seat on a Wednesday night where the slate was just looking fine, like nothing outstanding. But you had the drama, obviously the ending in College Park, and then the SEC was just like, hold my beer, okay? You had 4 games, really 3, that were decided by single digits, although the Auburn win over Ole Miss we'll talk about because they won by 1 million. I thought the SEC, once again, kind of dominated headlines. I know you want to give the Johnnies some shout-out, and we will because Fanta's going to join us. The Johnnies wrapped up a Big East regular season title last night for the first time in over 3 decades. But talk to me, Norlander. Where do you want to start? Kentucky, Oklahoma. You got the Texas-Arkansas Bubblicious. Vandy going on the road, beating A&M. All those games were decided by single digits. Where would you like to begin?
We're going to start with Vandy A&M, and we don't have to spend too much time on this because, frankly, most of the time was taken up by the game. All right, it's not just A&M, but A&M has been an extreme violator of this. Texas A&M, listen, the folks who run CBS and Turner's NCAA tournament programming and decide what teams get put into what windows, let it be known they very much know what they're doing. I am merely recommending that Texas A&M be given the last tip in the last window on either Thursday or Friday of the tournament. This team will destroy television windows, and not to mention if they're put on, say, like in the first half of the day and they got a game that goes 2 hours and 32 minutes, how that's going to just wreck the changeover for the crowds that got to come in for the night session. It's too much. They get caught in these super long games. Credit to Vanderbilt. I'll get to them in just 1 second. But this was Hartzell, agony. This game, I think the final 4.5 minutes of this game took about 50 minutes in real time to play out. It was brutal. Maybe the worst so far this season. I don't know if you caught on to that as you were watching.
Listen, I've been ahead of this story for years. Okay, I told you 5 years ago on this program. I'm like, listen, college basketball games are like 215, 220. You're like, no, they're not. That's absurd. That's a terrible take.
NCAA keeps the data, and until this season, the last season, on average, the average college basketball game was taking 159 to complete. The NCAA keeps the data. I don't know.
Listen, I don't care about Atlantic Sun games, Norlander. I care about games that are being broadcast by real linear television networks, not stream only on Flow Sports. I don't care about what's happening in the MAC. I care about real college basketball. These games, you're not wrong. 215, 220. Once you get into the NCAA tournament where there's 5 media timeouts in the first half, just like there's 5 in the second, and those TV breaks, by the way, are about 3:30, 3:45 each. Buckle up, man. You're going to have a college basketball game that takes over 2.5 hours in the NCAA tournament. In like the round of 64. It's going to happen.
I'm not happy about it. And this might be necessary pain to endure in order to get the review protocol switched this upcoming offseason. It's got to give the coaches a couple challenges, get these reviews out of here. It's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. Now, Vanderbilt, they get the win. They hang on. They win 86-84. I was actually talking to someone in the NBA front office about an hour and a half before this game ended because we're just talking about a few things, and I was mentioning what I was watching. And this guy goes to me, he goes, talking about Mark Byington, the coach of Vanderbilt, he goes, I don't really know him. I think that guy's a future NBA coach. Just the stuff he runs, the way he comports himself on the sideline, what I hear. I don't know if it'll ever happen. But when someone who works in that league brings that up, I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. And then I got to thinking, is Byington maybe like a sleeper candidate for the Indiana job? I don't think so. His buyout is well north of $10 million, according to a source. So that's not gonna be on the table there. But I tell you what, he'd be a good candidate, but it's a pretty hefty buyout, and they won't. I don't think Indiana will go down that road. Good win for Vanderbilt. The SEC has a lot of coaches who have like league coach of the year credentials right now. It's going to be Pearl because of what Auburn's doing, but Byington walking in and doing that right away at Vandy, mighty, mighty impressive stuff. You go next. What do you want to hit? Auburn, Texas, Arkansas, or Kentucky?
I think we need to talk about. I think we need to talk about Texas, Arkansas. That's a significant game for both teams. Bubblicious in Bud Walton, Hogs in overtime, 86-81. Despite Trey Johnson, the star freshman for Texas, going for 39, breaking a Kevin Durant record for freshman scoring for that program in the process. Hogs are in the field. Texas still very much on the bubble, but you start talking about an SEC, and this goes back to the results on Tuesday night of Georgia beating Florida, 13-10 dare I say, 14 teams in the dance is in play for this league as we hit the home stretch of the regular season. Arkansas got a win that it had to have. Texas would have loved to have had it as well, obviously, but that's a significant result. And again, if you're just putting teams in these columns in the SEC, SEC is absolutely cooking right now. I thought that was a great game, great theater. Trey Johnson is spectacular. That dude is a lottery pick. But here comes Arkansas, Norlander.
He's like he's a lock top 5. He probably should be top 3. Flag will go 1. There'll be Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper at 2, and then Trey Johnson is just.
There'll be some French dude who's like 7'1", that's like sliding into the top 3. Come on,
not in this draft. 86-81. Arkansas has now swept Texas. Texas is not in the field as of this morning. Can't put him in. Arkansas is in. You're out of your mind thinking the SEC sending 14. It's not going to happen. Texas lost. Oklahoma, we'll get there in a second. Oklahoma lost. There are teams flirting with that. 13 is manageable and possible and may well happen. 14 is not going to happen. One of these teams, whether it's Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, I don't think it's going to happen now. But if Arkansas were to like suddenly tank and like lose 3 or 4, at least one of those teams is not going to make it. And I'm still sticking with 12. But yeah, good on the Hogs for getting the win. Now 6-9 in the league. As a reminder, league record has nothing to do with whether you should be in or out. It's not even a consideration. It's not criterion, any of that. Arkansas did this without a Duthero playing, which I thought was notable. And getting the sweep over Texas is it's not going to be a trump card, so to speak. But if those two teams are real close and Arkansas has the 2 wins, and we'll see if I wouldn't think they wind up playing in the SEC tournament with the amount of teams that are in there. But just keep that in mind as well. Yeah, you mentioned that Trey Johnson broke KD's record. KD scored 37 4 times as a freshman. And this was Trey Johnson's 3rd game with 30-plus points as a Texas freshman. Durant did it 11 times. 11, which is why he was, the first freshman to win National Player of the Year. Had never happened until he did it. So good on Trey Johnson. He tried to will him to it. Couldn't quite get it done. Rodney Terry very much on the hot seat. Texas is 16-12. Longhorns are looking at a game at home against Georgia. Double bubble supreme situation on Saturday.
But Georgia's in. What do you mean, Norlander? Right now, Georgia's in.
No, Georgia's not in. No, Georgia's not in right now. I have them out of the field. The loser of that game is unquestionably out going into the final week of the regular season. But that was a compelling game, and good on Arkansas to get itself together. Texas has lost 5 of 6, by the way. Slip sliding away. Let's go to Oklahoma and Kentucky. Otega Owe, former Sooner, goes back to where he once came and just dominates down the stretch. I can't remember the last time a player scored every single one of his team's points in the final 12 and a half minutes of a game, especially like a high major game. That's exactly what happened here. He had the winning bucket with about 5 seconds to go, had just an aggressive attack to the 10 Euro step, got it to fall. Then he had a good recovery on the defensive end along with Brandon Garrison. The Oklahoma couldn't pull it off. There was some real chirping out there. It was reported someone in Kentucky media, I think, was down low and got the video, like some sort of can, maybe a beer can, I don't know, was thrown at Garrison, landed dangerously close. He was hot after this game. Garrison, also former Oklahoma State player, so maybe some animosity lingering over from the Bedlam rivalry. But Owe finishes with 28 points, 23 of which came in the second half, and scored the final 18 for Kentucky. It was a really good win for a UK team that got back Jackson Robinson and Lamont Butler, to get both those guys back after they had recent injuries. Robinson had the wrist. Butler had the shoulder situation. Kentucky is now 19-9, and it just gets a good win and gets a combined 50 points out of Butler and Robinson. But Owe was the dude. There's no doubt about it. He stepped up big. Oklahoma 17-11, now 4-11 in league play. Dicey as well. That's why I'm telling you, 14. The SEC has no shot at getting 14 teams in, and 13 can happen. But your Oklahomas, your Georgias, your Texases, they gotta pull some wins off here. Oklahoma has dropped 6 of its past 7. This is a team that started 13-0 and didn't lose a game in league play. The reason why it's in the conversation to maybe be in the field as of right now, as of today, is it beat Arizona on a neutral, it beat Louisville on a neutral, and it beat Michigan on a neutral. Now, it
Was that
doesn't
Michigan
have...
game. It wasn't a neutral. It was a pro-Michigan crowd in Charlotte, but continue.
Okay, well, it has those... Okay, sure, man. It's going to be regarded as a neutral by the selection committee. It's got enough in the non-conference with those wins, although they played a lot of other bad teams for the most part there. In league play, Oklahoma has defeated South Carolina, the worst team in the conference, in Oklahoma. They have the win at Arkansas. Okay, maybe. They've got the win at home versus Vanderbilt. Solid. And they got a win that they just got over the weekend that they desperately needed at home against Mississippi State. I know you got to put 68 teams into this thing. I don't think I'd have Oklahoma in the field today either if we had to start. So I've got Georgia, Texas, and Oklahoma all on the outside looking in. So as of right now, I think that puts me at 12 SEC teams. Oh, no, so it gets me at 11 because if I have Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, and South Carolina, that's 5 out. Right now, if I did the bracket math, Hartzell, I want to keep the audience honest. If I did the bracket math, I bet you I'd have to have one of those teams in if I started lining up key wins, metric ratings, and resume stuff. But instinctively, I only want to have 11 of those in. One of them will certainly play their way in, and that's your SEC wrap-up.
Matt Norlander, SEC hater.
What do you got?
Matt Norlander, SEC hater. Let the record show here on February 27th.
Okay.
I think Nashville is going to be an absolute Royal Rumble, and it's going to be a battle starting on Wednesday. Frankly, usually Wednesday is like the soft open. There's going to be some very desperate basketball teams taking the floor on day one in Nashville, to your point. So it's going to be wild. It's going to be awesome. At the top of the league remains Auburn. They just annihilate Ole Miss, win by 30 last night. I think, this is my hot take of the day, Norlander, I think the National Player of the Year race is over.
It's not over. That is a hot take. You're getting too frisky. It's not over.
Okay.
It's not over. Broom is doing wonderful. What was his stat line on Wednesday night for the folks?
Janai Broom?
Yeah.
Let's see. I had this pulled up earlier. I was looking at ACC
24
stuff.
points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Another wonderful outing for Janai.
Yeah, but look who he's doing it against.
I know.
The problem I have with the Cooper Flag stuff is, one, the guy's playing 27 minutes a game, and he's not. While he is efficient with his time on the floor, and while he is going to be the number 1 overall pick, and while he is a white guy wearing a Duke uniform, I understand the attraction here. I understand the sex appeal, okay? Janai Broom's putting up better numbers against better teams in a better league. I'm sorry. I think it's over, man.
It's not over, but I've had Janai Broom, with the exception of literally, I think, a 5-day period when he was out, or a week-long period. I've had Broom in the lead for National Player of the Year the entire season, with that one little gap exception in January. Yeah.
I mean, Duke's beating ACC teams by like 30 points a game. Auburn just beat an SEC team who's going to the dance by 30 points.
Auburn's win on Wednesday night set a program record in terms of efficiency at Ken Pom. Auburn won 106-76 against Ole Miss. In the process, it scored 1.49 points per possession. You can actually go to Ken Pom, go to the history team database for every team, and there's a little thing where it says team records, and in that you got, since 1996-97. So we're going on almost 30 years worth of data here. You can look at everything from best 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, defensive efficiency, all of it, all the free throw rate, everything. Offensive efficiency right now, last night, number 1 all time. They had never had a game where they scored more points per possession since 96-97. And probably, considering the eras before that, this is the school record. Like, they've never had a more efficient game than what they did against an Ole Miss team that will be a 5, 6, or 7 seed. Mighty impressive stuff.
96-97, boy, when you said that, my little heart palpitations. That was maybe the best NBA draft of my lifetime. And just 96-97, woo, Kobe, Iverson, Marbury, among many, many others. Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Fanta's going to join the show in about 5 minutes. Johnny's wrapped up the Big East regular season title. They won at Butler, 76-70. We will save that for Butler. We will save that for Fanta, because he's in the city. I want to know if the city is alive this morning. I want to know if it's absolutely buzzing. Right. I do want to get this in because it happened in my backyard on Wednesday night. Wake Forest loses at home to Virginia, 83-75. As John Lennon once sung in 1970, the dream is over for Wake Forest.
Dream is over. I thought that was Leonard Hamilton.
That was the game being over. The dream is over for Wake Forest. Back-to-back losses to NC State and UVA. This isn't Tony Bennett's UVA. And The ACC, folks, I want to make sure, pull over to the side of the road. I want to crank up your audio. I want to make sure that you hear this clearly from me in the heart of ACC country. The Atlantic Coast Conference is a 3-bid league in the 2025 NCAA tournament, barring some Charlotte shenanigans in the conference tournament.
Sure.
The
Charlotte
ACC
shenanigans. I like it, by the way.
is you're welcome to steal that if you'd like. The
might.
Atlantic Coast Conference is a 3-bid league. It will be Duke, it will be Louisville, and it will be Clemson, barring the obscene and the absurd bid thievery that likely won't happen, but you never know.
It's possible. Look,
Wake
frankly,
Forest. You had the line on Blue Sky. I need to see you in my office immediately.
Yeah.
Bring your playbook.
Now this is bad, real bad. Wake Forest has tanked, lost 3 of 4, with 2 of those as home games to FSU and Virginia. And frankly, there's no excuse to go on the road over the weekend and get dropped by double digits at NC State. It's correct. It's problematic.
Correct.
Wake Forest can get itself out of this if it beats Notre Dame at home, which apparently now is no guarantee. It's got to do that this weekend.
I will be there Saturday evening. You're welcome. I'll have my own section. There'll be plenty of open seats at the Joel.
Wake goes to Duke on Monday. It's mandatory. You
got to have it.
You got to win it. You have to figure out a way. And the thing is, you got to go do this on a 2-game turnaround. They wrap up at home against Hartzell's Bees,
who they lost to last year in the same spot, by the way.
Same exact to end the regular season.
That's correct. Yep.
Only you would remember that. You and Steve.
Yeah, I mean, that's degenerate activity from your boy, but that's what I traffic in.
Yeah, the ACC is it's cruising at like a 20% probability rate to get a 4th team into the tournament. It's bad, but how about this? Duke is 16-1 in the league. Clemson and Louisville are both 15-2 in ACC play right now. So Duke is still the winning regular season championships. They mean and understandably so. They mean a whole hell of a lot to these players, these coaches, and Duke is being given just a little bit extra motivation here to not get tripped up and overlook anyone by having those 2 teams 1 game behind in the rear view. That's intriguing to know. Before we get to Fanta, I can't let us get out of here with a couple more results of note here. Okay, I gotta cover the ground. It happened late, but I talk about the SEC teams that I wouldn't have in the field right now. You know who I would have in the field is Boise State. Now, the resume metrics right now would probably indicate they'd be just on the outside looking in. They beat Utah State 82-65. Supremely impressive win. They split the season series, the Broncos do, with the Aggies. Now 20-8. They've won 7 of their past 8. They're at Fresno State and they're at Air Force in the next 2. Don't lose either of those games. It's not easy to win on the road, but those are bad teams. You got to win those. And I do think that if and when Boise State wins those next 2, even though those are bad teams, I think that collectively their resume will have them in the field heading into the final game of the regular season. That was a good win. BYU continued its tournament case by winning at Arizona State. That got done on Wednesday night. I just want to give you everything else of note on Wednesday. San Francisco beat Oregon State, and the only reason why I'm bringing that up is San Francisco hosts Gonzaga. We'll get to that when we preview the games at the end of the show. Could be a dicey game for the Zags, who were able to beat Santa Clara earlier this week, and in doing so really avoided some problematic bracket forecast situations, but keep an eye on that. Indiana avoided catastrophe at home against Penn State. The Hoosiers right now project to be in the field, and UConn had no issues with Georgetown in the second half. They ran away from it. Dan Hurley had a quip about how he's handling the press. I think he understood the question, but pretended that he didn't. And Arizona beat Utah. Not too much else there. That's the majority of what happened on Wednesday. Tuesday-wise, I mentioned Gonzaga. Cincinnati beat Baylor. Baylor's skidding in a big way. Not good at all. Georgia beat Florida 88-83 and almost had an all-time melt. Blew a 26-point lead.
Yes.
Recovered to outscore Florida 10-3 in the final 2 minutes of that game.
Your boy Blue Cane to the rescue. You're a big Blue Cane guy.
All I'll say is a human being. One of my buddies texted me this notion. He said, I don't know what a person named Blue Cane is supposed to look like, but it's not that when he talked about.
He used to have the ponytail. I mean, he's cut the locks.
It's Blue Cane with a big time shot. Dogs, they get Key win. Fanta just texted me. He'll be here in like 90 seconds. So
are you willing to bark for the CSN listeners?
Because I did it on the CBS pod. I need to bark on another show.
I'm just asking if you're up for it. I mean, I know you're fighting a little something with the throat.
I am. I could actually
make the bark sound better. Frankly,
in all seriousness, I could be in trouble if I bark. I might start coughing and might not be able to stop.
Unbelievable.
It might be.
Well, you're gonna have to go to the Ion College basketball. It's in the first 2-3 minutes of the show.
I did.
Once you get past all the ads, if you want to hear Norlander.
Listen, I got no control over how many ads are on that thing. I know,
the pre-roll on that show's 4 minutes. I mean, it is excessive. I get it though, man.
I don't know, and I am to anyone that listens there. I do apologize, but they sell the ads, and
that's the life we have lit. That's the life we lead.
Lord knows I don't see that money. So hey, listen, we're happy to make the company some money. So if they're going to sell the ads, there we go. Alabama dropped 111, by the way, on Mississippi State on Tuesday night.
Well, what's the stat there though? How many made threes for Bama? 23.
I thought
22?
I thought it was 22. No, Bama was 22. Yeah, 22 of 45. Yeah.
That's the formula.
They made as many threes as Mississippi State made twos.
I remember doing this in the Final Four. We're like, yeah, you're playing UConn, and you're an underdog, and it's going to be tough. However, if you make 23s, you got a shot. And obviously,
but you got to make 23s.
I understand, but this is the problem. Like if look, 2 weeks from now, folks are going to be holding. Well, I guess a little more than 2 weeks from now. We're at 18 days, I guess, until the bracket is in our hands as we tape this show. My point is, folks are going to be looking at the Alabama path to San Antonio and maybe even in San Antonio. And if Mark Sears and those guys are Youngblood had a monster game on Tuesday night.
He's got a shot to be a dude over the next few weeks.
If you're making 20 plus threes, I don't care who you're playing. You're gonna beat those guys. And we still, by the way, the Alabama Auburn part 2 in the jungle is coming up not this weekend but next weekend. They still have to play Florida and Tennessee, I believe. Alabama's remaining regular season schedule.
It is. I'm going to bring it up here. It's Florida, Tennessee, and then Auburn.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's those could all be 1 seeds, and they're all top 5 KenPom teams.
I think folks are sick of it outside of the SEC. The SEC, it's enough.
We never have seen this. If you're sick of it, get a hold of yourself. We have never seen a league like this before.
It's wild, right? It's Alabama's final 3. Alabama, a 1 seed for the NCAA tournament, according to most metrics, has to play Tennessee, Florida, and Auburn to close out the regular season. Then they have to go to Nashville, where they'll likely get some combination of those teams in the quarterfinal round and beyond. It's banana stuff, man. It's just murderer's row. It's phenomenal stuff. Let's hit pause. John Fanta is 4 minutes late to the show. Let's hit pause. Fanta will join the show coming up next.
Last night for my HQ hit. Is Fanta ready or no?
No, he is not. What kind of juice? What is that?
This is Honest Kid Strawberry Peachy Keen.
Dude, that is straight from the Costco cart.
It's our local grocer. I'm going to get water real quick.
Go ahead. Da 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 da. Is Fanta going to be in an Uber, or is he going to be at home?
No, it should be good. Did he confirm on email?
No, but that's fine. I don't get offended by that. I mean, I'm used to it. That's the worst part of booking guests for this show is you have to send them. Here, that's my guy.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, big dog?
There we go.
How are you, sir?
Sorry for being a couple minutes.
You're fine. It's a podcast. Thank you for making the time for us. Can we get
You're
you
good
for
to go.
like
We're
10,
gonna have
12 minutes?
10-12. We're getting Fanta for 20. There's no 10-12. Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're gonna let it go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's have fun with it. Let's
Well,
roll.
I have plenty. I have time.
Okay. There we go.
Very good. All right. We got Fanta coming down in 3, 2, 1. All right. As promised, our man John Fanta, kind enough to join us. Busy guy this time of the year, very much in demand amongst the college basketball media. John, thank you. Good morning. Great to see you. Good timing having you on. Your Johnny's wrapped up regular season honors in the Big East last night. First time in over 3 decades. You live in and around the city, correct?
I do live in and around the city. Yes.
Is there a buzz? Is it palpable? Can you feel it? Johnny's atop the Big East. What's the scene like?
They're everywhere. I mean, they are a huge story around here. They become the 11th pro sports team in New York. They get that kind of media coverage. They land on the back pages of the Post, of the Daily News, of any publication right now in the sports world, because let's face it, in New York sports, when it pertains to postseason and championships and all that, right now there's only one team that we could talk about that with, and that's St. John's. And I think it's showing the power of St. John's and the impact that St. John's can have. But this all stems back to one thing, and it's a twist here on your show. It's not just Rick Pitino. It's Father Brian Shanley.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where your podcast, where we're going to do a deeper dive for the people to give them the how and the why for a moment. So to me, St. John's is not standing in this position if a couple of years ago, when they have another presidential search for their university president, Father Shanley, who was at Providence College, but was out in 2020 due to a variety of things, Brian hired Ed Cooley. And when he hired Ed Cooley, he called Mike Tranghese, the former Big East commissioner, and Mike said, I think that this is the guy for you. And Brian went with Mike's intuition and gut and said, let me look at him, met with him, and the rest is history with what Brian and Ed, with what they built at Providence College. When he gets this job at St. John's, and he's, he ends up coming in and having another year, and then Mike Anderson, the change gets made. When they're going through a process then of who their next head coach is going to be, there are several powers that be at St. John's, based on what I have heard, that we're not ready to just go ahead and bring in Rick Pitino. And Shanley said, I need to win. We need to win, or else our biggest exposure opportunity as a school is getting lost and has been lost for a quarter century. Without his foresight to then do it, and Rick has said this on the record, he wouldn't be at St. John's. The moment that happened, that's the domino that's now led to this. And because of that, Rick Pitino is showing everybody that the Stone Age videos of yesteryear of great legendary St. John's players and people, that it can happen in 2025. And we're watching that reality right now.
All right. You mentioned Rick Pitino. I've got one question for you. I'm assuming you'll be at the Garden in a couple weeks' time for the Big East tournament. Yes? Do we see
I think I'm going to be in Cancun. No, that's
I mean, that's coming. That's coming, but you got to earn it, Fanta. You got to earn it over the next couple of weeks. Here's my question. Do we see the white suit at the Garden for Pitino in the Big East? What do you think?
No way.
No way.
We see it Saturday.
Saturday. They have a whiteout Saturday on CBS when they host Seton Hall, and they can clinch the outright Big East regular season title, which Rick says, one, he doesn't want a share of anything. He wants the outright.
Yeah.
And two, he does not want to have some massive celebration where they go crazy and whatnot because they have other goals. So, look, I think it will be a scene Saturday. He will come out in that white suit. And on the other side here, you have Sheen Holloway. I'm sure the look on his face when Rick comes out of the tunnel will really be interesting because you have the Kadari Richmond angle to all this.
Yes.
But it's just like Steven and Matt, and Matt, you know this because you've been in the building and whatnot. You've been up close to it too. But I could just tell you guys right now, like for years now. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, as has been documented. So when I get out to this area in 2013, 14, I cannot tell you how many times over the last decade I have heard when St. John's was going, it's a game changer for the Big East in college basketball. And I'm like by about 2019, I'm like, okay, I got it. Like, great. It's interesting. And like whenever they would win a big game, it would move the needle in that moment. Now, this is so different. This is 25-4.
Yes.
They have a real shot to make it to San Antonio. And like what Rick is doing right now, and Matt, like I'm sure we're going to continue to talk about this, is yes, he would win anywhere. He could win on Mars. Like he'd somehow get programs to come and play him. I don't know how, but he's just amazing. It's a program that's so badly needed someone to totally recalibrate it in every aspect from the top to the bottom. You know, it's like a kitchen nightmare show. Gordon Ramsay comes in and just fixes the whole restaurant. That now I think what we're seeing again is what does happen when they're good? What makes this program a differentiator in the sport? That to me is the really cool part, because I don't think there's a lot of other younger coaches that would have been candidates for this job. Nobody else could be where they are right now, this soon into a tenure. Nobody. But I think there's a lot of younger quote candidates that they're actually too young to fully remember what St. John's was when St. John's was really, really damn good like this 40 years ago, because it was 40 years ago. And the players certainly aren't old enough to know that. So you can't overstate what this means for that school, what this means for the Big East, which again, like if they didn't have St. John's this year, it'd be bleak. Collectively, it would not be in a great place. They have stepped up to the pedestal, and this is a really incredible story. And now, because of the relentless nature of their defense and an offense that I think has evolved as the years gone on, in some ways, RJ Lewis has been fantastic. You're waiting to see what's next. They're the best show in New York. They're as compelling as any story in the sport because of that man at age 72. And are you really going to bet against him?
It's good stuff there, Johnny. Yeah, it's going to be a scene Saturday. I will not be in the building. Seton Hall is not good. But I'll be in the building soon enough. I'll see you at the Big East tournament. Speaking of Seton Hall, I know you've talked about it, but I don't know. Inform our listeners. You are a Seton Hall alumnus. You're from Cleveland. I think you've mentioned you're from Cleveland once or twice before. I'm not sure. I got to fact check that. But why was it? Why Seton Hall? Why'd you go there?
Yeah, so it's a really good story that's college basketball related, to be honest. So when I was looking at colleges, I was a junior getting ready to go on a bunch of spring tours. And I was looking around, and my college, I wanted to go to the metropolitan area. I knew in this industry, in our wonderful but crazy industry, that if I went to the metro area, I would have a better shot at getting a job. Maybe. So I visited Syracuse. I visited Fordham. Look, in my little head, I'm like, it's not little, but in my little brain, I'm like, okay, Syracuse, New York area. You know, that's what a lot of people in Ohio or in other areas are thinking.
It's 4 hours away for those who might not realize.
Right. So Syracuse, Fordham, St. John's. I looked at a couple of schools in Ohio, the Scripps Broadcast School at Ohio University, John Carroll University. Shout out to the Blue Streaks. But like, I'm getting ready to leave for the New York trip. And my college counselor a woman by the name of Linda Gabor. I'm going to shout her out here. She actually is retiring this year. She looked at me and she said, while you're out that way, why don't you take a look at this Seton Hall University? And she hands me and there is a Seton Hall, but she hands me the brochure and I go, it says here, Seton Hall. She goes, oh, yeah, Seton Hall. She goes, maybe take a look at it while you're out there. She goes, I think they've got some broadcasting stuff, just like that. So my dad and I go out there with my brother. And, we get in and we get into the campus and I start walking through the radio station and I start walking through the TV station and I go over to the newspaper room, that they do the paper in every week. And then I go into the athletic department and the athletic director's door is wide open. A guy by the name of Pat Lyons, who hired Kevin Willard and was right there with Kevin and big part with him in the era of success at the Hall. And I can always remember that because when I said to Pat, the AD at the school at a Big East school, so in college basketball, a high major place, what opportunities do you have? And the answer that I kept getting was, well, you could get on the air at any moment. Like, we have all kinds of opportunities if you're interested. And like in my head, I'm like, okay. And I'm just telling you guys, like Syracuse was like, yeah, junior year.
Yeah.
Which is totally protocol. And Newhouse is unbelievable. And Newhouse is unbelievable. They're the standard setter in journalism schools. No question about it.
For broadcast, right. Yeah.
For broadcast. Fordham. Well, yeah, sophomore year, maybe junior year. We'll see. And here's this Big East school. My dad's like, he pulls me aside. He goes, wait a minute. He goes, forget that they don't have football. Like, throw that out the window for a second. He's like, because, we know you can call that, which I did. I called a bunch of it in high school. I've called like 200 football games in my life. I just haven't called many, in recent years because I've been so in the college basketball space, which I wouldn't have it any other way. He goes, this is Big East basketball. Do you know what that means? This is Madison Square Garden. And I immediately think of Sean McDonough, Bill Raftery, and Jay Billis. I think of Big Monday.
Right.
I think of all the nostalgia that comes with that. I think of Kemba Walker. I think of Jerry McNamara. I think of Jim Calhoun. And I'm like, this place is willing to open up their doors. They're willing to actually have me call some games, it sounds like. They're willing to help me. And I'm like, I love this. Everything about it. And I ended up, my gut told me I'm going to go to Seton Hall. Now, what my gut couldn't have told me was what ended up happening while I was a student there. Two things. Number one, when I was a freshman, I was covering the men's team at the Big East tournament on a beat that had like 2 or 3 people. They shocked Villanova at the buzzer on a Sterling Gibbs shot, and a bunch of the national people are in the back with me. I'm a kid. I'm an 18-year-old kid, and they're asking me who are the best players to talk to because all of a sudden now Seton Hall's the story. And at the time, I remember like video was so new, so everyone like wanted video reaction outside the locker room. They're like, "Who should we talk to, John? Like, who's good to talk to on this team?" Because nobody covered them that year because they stunk. They were not very good. But that was the start.
Yeah, 15 and 18. This is the 2012-13 season. They beat Villanova.
13-14.
It was 13-14?
They beat Villanova in the quarters.
Oh, quarters. Okay, I thought you were talking about end of the regular season. Gotcha. So that would have been 13-14. I would have been oh, yeah, you know what? I remember this shot. I would have been in the building that day. Don't remember talking to you.
I remember I held Andy Katz's camera for him. Like, I mean, now it comes full circle where no, not Andy's not holding the camera for me. No, but it's just like, it's that's the most rewarding part, guys. It's like 2 years later, they win the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
I went to class with Isaiah Whitehead and Angel Delgado. And then when, I I was at the forefront of covering those teams because I was so close to it that helped me get noticed. It really did.
I got more here, Hartzell. Hold on. One, there's the MILF meme, man, I love Fanta, and you're in the Big East suit. The bummer about the Big East suit is the UConn logo's not on the Big East suit. Real quick, what's the story about why you wore it and who made it?
Yes. So who made it? It was a designer of some sort in New York City who was tasked with making these Big East jackets. So I believe there's like 30 of them in existence, 30 or 40. Apparently, some of them have been seen at like New York flea markets, which is just like mind-boggling in a variety of ways. But this is now like 2015, 16 range. They were making these jackets, and the goal was, for me to maybe wear it at night at the Big East men's tournament. So I was doing sidelines at the Big East women's tournament for Fox with, throwback here, Lisa Byington and LaChina Robinson, who are now crushing it in their own regards. Lisa's the voice of the Bucks. LaChina was the voice of the U.S. Women's Olympics team and does high-level women's basketball. And I'm on the sidelines, and they're like, would you wear the jacket on the air tonight? So I said to my producer, I said to Fox, I'm like, look, the league kind of asked, what do you guys think? They're like, go for it. Do it. I'm like, okay, I'll put the jacket on. So we do a tournament promo that night on the show, and I basically promote the men's tournament, and I'm wearing the jacket when we come on camera. I never knew that it would produce like a years of memes. Think about this. This is an image, Matt, and a meme that still gets like thrown around social media, and it's 10 years old.
I know.
Not like 2. So that was the cool thing. I still have it back in the closet here. I'm a different age and size than I was.
Different age and size. I hear you.
But the tailor does exist, so maybe
that needs to be brought back out at some point. It really does. At some point, you're going to need to get that tailored. We got to try and make that happen.
Well, they have alteration shops, so you just get the arms right, just like let it out a little bit.
There might not be more alteration shops in all of America than within 15 square miles of where you're.
Oh yeah, I have like 3. I mean, I'm in North Jersey. There's like 3 within a mile of me. I know where they all are because they all
let them cook, man. Bring the jacket in, let them cook.
That's not what. All right, yeah, listen. The phrase "let them cook" it's getting a little too overused.
You listen, hang on a second. My mother-in-law lives with us. She is a master seamstress. Okay, she used to work at David's Bridal. She is She is an artist with what she does with wedding dresses. Alterations specialists. There are things that they like. That's an art that's dying.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So let them cook. I feel like that applies here.
No. Do you know what? You know when, like, on Twitter and stuff, when people are like, "F it, these highlights." Like, I'm just picturing a seamstress and like someone on social be like, "F it, let them cook." That's highlights of someone. No, like, you know what else? Like, fun fact. Does a tailor or a seamstress shop, because like at least here in New Jersey, every time I drive by the shop, the lights are on. Like it's open. I'm convinced that some of these shops don't close. I'm convinced you could drive in there at 9:00 with your jacket and they would take it and give you the receipt and say 3 days.
Yeah. Well, it's got to bust back out. I've got 2 quickies here, and then Hartzell, you can ask him what you want to ask. What you've done a lot of calls on a lot of mid-major games, working, not just FS1, but CBS Sports, Peacock, all that good stuff. What is the coolest campus or arena vibe that's underrated, maybe not really that known? Just a place that you've gone to in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years that would rank near the top that people might not be aware of.
Trask Coliseum at UNC Wilmington, when full, is an absolute cauldron of chaos. Place is out of control.
Yeah.
rocking. They've done a blackout. They've done a teal out. It is absurd. Like, it is first off, Wilmington is one of the gems in America. It's a beautiful area. You are 8 minutes from the beach.
Yeah.
And by beach, like, we're talking like resort style.
Yeah,
beach.
good beaches. Yeah. Yep.
Like, you could just walk on there and sit and be on the beach. Oh, and then you could drive 8 minutes. You can get an elite breakfast in between. And then you can head over to UNC Wilmington, which has a tremendous campus. And Takeo Siddle has done a nice job there. I think he's actually one of the unheralded coaching rising stars in the business, just because I think he's got to win the CAA tournament for the full nation to recognize. But like, this guy's done a great job. It is an elite atmosphere. That would be my pick. Doing UNC Wilmington Charleston games. Charleston gets, when Pat Kelsey really had it rolling. Wow, was that place rocking? And I was just down there in November for the Charleston Classic. That is a fun building in a variety of ways. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, UNCW, really cool. This season as well, because of the CAA, I see a lot of mid-majors, in that league. William and Mary had Kaplan Arena down in Williamsburg, where students were filling up the student section. We're talking a couple thousand at a school that, smaller. And I give Brian Earl a lot of credit for what he's done there in year one and getting that program back on the right track. Last one I'll say is Merrimack. I have been in that building, been rocking, and it is a fun little hoops house. I was in there. I want to say I was in their old building before. Fun hoops house. They really had, when I was in there a couple years ago, Norlander, I'm like, at the time they had just joined D1, so they were still in that weird period of limbo. And I was thinking, like, before I walked in there, I'm like, okay, well, they're in D1. How's this working out? They were all in. Like, everybody in that town's like totally all into the Warriors and fun hoops house.
All right. What have you not, any venue that you've yet to get to that you want to get to most? Is it like, I don't think you've been to Fog Allen, right? I mean, have you been to Cameron?
I've never been to Fog Allen. That's a big regret thus far. It will happen. It will happen. I have never been to Cameron. Okay. So those are two. And it's just, I've tried. Like, I could tell you guys, Matt, as you know, when you're looking at a calendar, we end up a lot in the Northeast. Obviously that's a big footprint of mine. There are some changing Big 12 media rights over the offseason that could allow me to get to Fog Allen potentially. We'll see how things work out.
Yes.
But those are two that I have not gotten to. I also would really like to get to the Pit.
Me too. That's near the top of my list. I haven't been to the Pit.
I can't wait to get there at some point. I would really like to get there. There's others too. I could keep going. Like, I'd like to see Texas Tech in person because I've heard when it's rocking. I've been to Ames. I've done Iowa State. A+ when full. Like, I mean, it's always full, but like when for a big game, it is an elite atmosphere.
Fanta, I'm hearing you talk about UNC Wilmington. Norlander, we're 3 weeks out from the tournament beginning in earnest. When you hear UNC Wilmington, what's the first NCAA tournament player that comes to memory for you?
Drew Nicholas.
Yeah, that would have been it, Nicholas.
I was thinking Brent Blizzard, but I will accept Drew
But
Nicholas.
UNCW got dropped by Drew Nicholas in Maryland in 2002.
Yes, they did.
I was in Syracuse. I had a long distance relationship, so I was with my then girlfriend, and I went storming, screaming down the dorm hallway when that shot went in because it was just an awesome moment. Yep, I remember. I saw it go in, and I just instant, primal reaction went screaming down. That glory days for March Madness for me.
Yeah, T.J. Carter, Chad Tomko, other great Wilmington Seahawks, but yeah, Brett Blizzard's the all-time leading scorer with 2,144 points.
Hey, Fanta's got his charts. Like, this he's ready to rock.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Here is my question, John, and again, thank you for being gracious with your time. Norlander and I did a show earlier this week where we were like, hey, here's our legitimate national championship contenders, and here's our Final Four dark horses list. Norlander rolls in with 10 national championship picks.
It's going to back me up on this. He's
Okay.
going to have 10.
Are you? I rolled in here with 6. I'm a harsh grader. I'm not here to invite half the field onto my national championship list. Where do you fall? You know, we're 3 weeks out from Selection Sunday, give or take. You got like a dozen teams in that list that can cut down the nets in San Antonio, or do you have it whittled down to a smaller group of teams? Where are you at?
Definitely more than 6. I'm going to say that you have to, I think in this climate, in this sport this year, you have to have at least 8 by virtue of the way the season's gone. So I'm going to say that there's a happy medium of 8 to 10 on this one. So I'll just rapid fire go through them, what I think.
Yeah, I'd love to hear them. Let's do it.
Let's hear the list, Fanta. Who do you got?
All right, this is off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
Auburn, Duke,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
Houston
Mm-hmm.
would be in their own tier. They're in a group together.
Okay.
Florida would be in tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then it starts to get interesting here on
Tennessee, yes or no? I say yes to Tennessee. Hartzell says
I say we're talking national championship, correct?
you got to be able to see this team winning 6, and Rick Barnes is on the floor watching one shining moment. Can you envision it in your mind?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
You're with Hartzell.
Let's see here. Okay. Florida would be 5.
Yep.
Michigan State would be 6. I can see it. I can feel it. I can get the national narratives. I can see Tom Izzo magic carpet ride 30th season and his team just finding a way. Sometimes it's a season of destiny. Okay. I can rationalize then St. John's is one of the 8 to 10. Okay. So they're in the mix. I could still rationalize a healthy Iowa State. A healthy Iowa State has to be, if you're going to put a list of 10, I think that they should be included. Were they included in Matt Norlander's?
No.
Not included. Iowa State, if you haven't noticed, hasn't beaten a tournament team in 6 weeks.
Yep. Fair point. And then I can rationalize, let's see, we have really time for 3 others, room for 3 others.
Yeah.
Oof, that's where it's tough. But I think that there's a couple of candidates, and I think some of those candidates would be Wisconsin still. I think there's a world where Michigan, I know I'm picking some Big Ten teams.
Michigan was on my list.
Michigan, I think, could be on the list because of their big men and because of Dusty May's proven track record to get that far. And then there's time for one more. I'd be curious to know who your one is. Who your one or two.
Can I give you a hint? Can I give you a hint?
Yeah.
They lost at the buzzer last night with a shot from beyond half court.
Maryland.
I had Maryland on the list.
Yeah, look, they are
talented,
there. Reasons. I mean, look, they are there. Like I can rational. That would be, first off, that'd be amazing for a variety of ways. The reasons, the story of that would be unbelievable. I also like. I know this is bold, but like this is the time for bold takes.
It is.
Guys, I'm a sucker for Missouri.
Oh wow.
Like I love that.
They've got a shot. They're too good to be a dark horse, by the way. This is not a dark horse Final Four team. I know people are going to start saying this over the next 2 weeks.
No, they're not. They're
too good to be a dark horse.
No, and I'm not suggesting that they are. Like I'm saying I'm a sucker, meaning I would put them on my list of 10. So I would put them on my list of 10. And I have a super bold take, like, because this is the time of year for bold takes.
Let's go. This is the time and place. Here we go.
I just have this like deep down gut feeling here. If you gave me a prop, okay, I think Mark Pope or John Calipari is going to be in the Elite Eight. One of them is going to be in the Elite Eight. There's my really bold March take. I just have this feeling, and I can't pick one because I don't. And I know it's crazy. And I know
Calipari's not going to the Elite Eight. This team's not going there. I
don't think so either, Matt. But here's what we know. We know this. You don't want to be an 8-9 seed. Okay?
You don't. This is a percolating storyline, by the way, where there could be some teams in that 8-9 situation where you're like, I got to play them on a
Like
2-day
the
turnaround.
defending 2-time national champs, for example.
The bracket's gonna have a little bit of.
Well, my bold take is Dan Hurley might want to toss one more game because he should want to be the 10 and not the 8-9.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And so what I say by that is, Hartzell and Norlander, is that so here's my message to America. This is actually a pet peeve. I think this was on your agenda.
I did. It peeked behind the curtain. I sent Fanta a couple things, and my other question was, what is your biggest pet peeve? Because Fanta is Mr. Positivity, understandably so. You're a walking, living avatar for why so many of us love this sport. But I wanted to bring about the human side. Okay, let's take people into the text chain that Fanta and I got going on. What is your biggest pet peeve about college hoops? It can be anything about the sport. It can be about something about the way it's played, the officials, with the media, whatever. So that's the big setup for Johnny here. What's your biggest pet peeve about college hoops?
This time of year, there's two. Number one is when you give a take on a team, and the response is that's not happening. Okay, well, have you watched March Madness?
Yeah, right.
Like, have you ever seen this event?
I just did this with Arkansas, by the way, so keep going. Yep.
Which is fine. That's fine. But for the sake of argument, if you are arguing with your friends,
yes,
it's okay to welcome bold takes because that's what makes the sport what it is. So there are shutdown artists. Like I am honestly contemplating like Anarchy in my final top 25 of the year.
Yeah.
To just prove the point that it doesn't matter.
You're right.
It's a top 25.
Yes.
Everyone gets worked up over it on who they're going to rank where.
Yeah.
Like, who's to say over the last 2 months, I haven't even looked at what they've done this week. Like, if you look at VCU, have they played like a top 25 team? I think they got votes this week.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Why not? It's not like why do I have to put a high major at 24 that had a challenging schedule, and I still really like their collective resume when in the last 5 weeks they haven't beaten anybody? So like I get a pet peeve with that, and then I absolutely
let's go. Lay it on me.
Do not like when people say to me, "Oh yeah, like I'm starting to get into college hoops." It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. What were you doing? Oh yeah, well, you know, I was busy. Like, I was watching football, and it was football season.
Get me started on this.
On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays?
Exactly.
Also, like, on Saturdays? Yeah. That was such a great wild card game. No, it was a 13-point game. The game sucked. Like, the NFL playoffs were fine. They were not. There was nothing memorable. I mean, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
I love the NFL.
Love it.
My second favorite sport. This idea that the media projects onto fan bases that they don't have the capacity or fans to follow college basketball when we have multiple high-profile games that matter in November and December and January is asinine. So I am right there with you, and it is. I understand not everyone has to love. I don't mean to hijack Fanta's take. I'm sending it right back to you. I get it. Not everyone has to love college basketball the way we do. I'm not saying that should be the case. All I'm saying is, it is. I cannot compute how if you watch college basketball, just watch the presentation on television, the intense home environments, the amount of competitive close games there are, how people don't understand that these games have real value and dramatic narrative pull. It's just wild to me that, it's February 27th. I got to start catching up on the college hoops.
Oh my God. And then they watch. I said this earlier this week on a different show. I said, do not watch a team one time in late February and then equivocate that to whether they're going to win the national championship. Like Auburn, Duke, of course, but like there's a proven track record there. But like, oh wow, like Kentucky escaped, and wow, Vanderbilt. I mean, look, I think Mark Beinson's done an amazing job, but like it's a bigger picture. I just because we. Meaning Matt, Steven.
Don't put Hartzell in this group, that's for sure.
We are watching football. We're watching football. Fun fact, I am a religious diehard baseball watcher. Okay, so like I cannot wait for my son to arrive in May because he will be subjected to a crap ton of West Coast baseball at like 12:30 a.m. and you can text me and I will be up and I will be watching the Sacramento A's because they're moving to Sacramento for I don't know how long. Go to the bullpen. I'm an avid sports fan. Avid. Love it. But Matt's an avid Bears fan. I'm a huge Browns fan. When our teams have been good, we are still watching. We're covering. We're doing our jobs, but we're still. Come on, we don't miss anything in the football world. You can fit it into your sports world, and if you're not, what are you doing? You are missing like big time. If anything, because you know what it is a lot of times, Matt. It's like it's the guy who throws some shekels on the sporting events. You know, it's that cash.
Yeah.
You're starting to get into college hoops. Don't you want to help yourself later by watching these teams in January when you put $15 on a game? Like, just create some more time for it. Those are a couple of my pet peeves. My other pet peeve is when a big job opens and immediately the name that's never going to happen gets thrown out there and like people start talking about it. So like if you can't avoid it because it's fun, but like holy hell. Yeah. If I hear Brad Stevens or Jay Wright for a college job again, I'm gonna please stop. It's not happening.
Yep. It's a great call.
There's so many avenues to follow up with on that, Fanta. That was really good. I'm glad you mentioned your son coming in May. By the way, that's phenomenal family planning by you. Like elite really timing. Like that is, folks don't understand who haven't started a family or don't know, like that's really hard to do. Like my first son was born 9 days before the start of the college football season. Very poor family planning in my life. But you have a son who's coming in May. Mazel tov. Congratulations to you and your wife on that. I'm going to let you go on this. I love your Browns Sunday reaction vids. Browns have the number 2 pick in the NFL draft. Who you got? Who you want?
It has to be a quarterback.
Has to.
Yeah, because of where they are financially.
I'm not in on Cam Ward. To me, that's like he goes there and maybe he goes one. Fantastic.
He's not going to be on the board, but you say they got to go.
Ward's going number 1.
Allegedly. Yeah. You want a QB.
And I think Shedeur Sanders is the better quarterback.
You want Shedeur in a Browns uniform?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Deion's not going to let that happen, man.
No, no. The last couple of weeks would suggest that Shedeur is more than okay because he's legitimately come out and said whoever's making up those narratives, it's because stuff takes off on social media. But he's had visits with the Browns. The Browns have actually gone to the extent of talking about visiting with him. Here's the other thing, okay? This is a big take right now going around the NFL world. And I know this because I do a weekly appearance on Cleveland radio. So as a result, you might laugh at me, but I've been watching Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders 15 to 20 minutes worth of film on them on YouTube of I'm watching them play. I'm seeing what they look like. What I could say is this. There's this Ward theory out there that in 3 to 4 years, he's going to be amazing. But he's not fully ready now. It's going to take a little bit of time. That's the upside's huge. And the big argument is the upside for him is bigger than Sanders. That's the argument that people are throwing around. That's why he's ahead of him on mocks and whatnot. As Matt knows, this is no longer I'm going to wait 4 years. What are people watching that suggests that? Let's face it. If Caleb Williams comes out next year and performs great or performs well, competently,
right,
people are going to be like, yep, okay, that's all right. Jaden Daniels was better in the then, but now Williams is coming along. If Williams comes out and through 4 weeks, it's ooh, the interceptions are a problem, and now some of the innovation is going other. I hope to God that doesn't happen. I don't think it will.
I'm bracing for it.
Right, you're bracing for it. Then that's it. No, that's it. That's it. It's over. Then you go back to the draft and you draft another quarterback. So people are well, maybe the Browns should draft Abdul Carter. Can he throw the ball? Can he keep the ball? Because if he can't do either of those things, then nothing else really matters. I just had Myles Garrett, who's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't want to be here anymore. You know why? He's tired of crappy quarterback play. If Ward's off the board, if you take Ward, I'm not going to be mad on draft night. I believe in either one of them. You have to take a quarterback. You just made the worst deal in financial history, in organizational history. Horrible. It is number 1 worst ever in the history of football. He did criminal things. Let's say he did things that are not cool nor legal. He ended up being able to play. No, it's not. It's true. It's out there. It's in the public world. It's not alleged. It happened. And he settled and all that. And I can't even name him because it makes me so upset.
I got you.
And then he's on the field, and it was a total and utter disaster. And so now your next quarterback, everyone's like, well, go and sign a veteran, and then you could have the rookie sit and you wait for him to play. No. This league is not that way anymore. Either you have it or you don't.
I love it.
Fanta's NFL Minute.
I love it. I mean, let this man cook. I mean,
Cooks.
let's he is absolutely cooking.
Cook session. I know we're no pardon my take, but I appreciate you squeezing us in.
This is way better.
Anything for Well, I would have never heard "let them cook" as much. Now I know what shirt to get you, Hartzell.
I'm good on shirts.
I'm just thinking next time I go into a tailor shop, I might tag you guys in the tweet.
I want it.
I'm just gonna say they're cooking.
Yeah.
Let them.
Listen, not everybody can do what my yaya does when it comes to these alterations. I'm just telling you that. Like, there are folks that just cannot do what she does, okay? It's a gift. John, I'm going to let you go because we could do this all day, and you got a lot of stuff to do.
Thanks.
So thank you so much. John Fanta, Fox Sports, Field of 68.
2 weeks, bud.
You're the man.
Relish it. There's nothing like this time of year. I can't wait to see Matt and crack a smile when I see him at Madison Square Garden, and like 10 rows behind him, there's some Providence fan whose team was eliminated like the prior day, but like just wants to fight a fan from another team.
That's a great scene.
There's nothing. The last thing I'll say is not pet peeve, like favorite humorous thing. MSG on quarterfinal Thursday at like 11:07.
Oh my gosh.
Eastern time, when it doesn't matter who the two teams are that are playing, you just have to look around a little bit. And you are guaranteed to see something in the stands that you're like, what is going on there?
Yeah, it's great. It's classic. Good stuff. All right, bud.
John, I'm going to kick you off the stage, but just stick around so I get your video, okay? Because you've been on here for like 45 minutes, okay?
Yeah, it's got to upload. So just hang on the stream here for like 10 seconds, and then you're good to go.
Awesome.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
Man, Merritt, that was a record setter right there.
I asked him for like 10 to 15
15
minutes before the show, and you were like, no, we're going to get you for 20. We ended up going for 40.
40 from Fanta. Man.
Give or take. Yeah.
And I had even more. But
all right, John, we have all your video. You may leave. Thank you very much. You are the best. And I wish you and the Browns nothing but success in the NFL draft. Do you know, without looking it up, Norlander, where the NFL draft is going to be in April?
I do know.
Where?
Green Bay.
Okay, spoken like a true NFC North aficionado fan.
It's in Green Bay.
Can you imagine, like, you've spent your whole life building towards a pro NFL life, and you're like, it's draft day, and you are going to walk across that stage and dap up Commissioner Goodell, and you're like, I'm going to be in Radio City Music Hall. I'm going to be in Vegas. I'm going to be in just some super desirable location, and they're like, actually, bro, you're going to be in Lambeau. You're going to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Like, come on, dude. I'm sure it's lovely in the spring.
They got they produced it up all.
I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, real quick.
It's got to be quick.
We got to run through some must-see TV this weekend.
Yeah.
Is there anything of note on Thursday night that must be consumed in the college basketball world?
Thing. I mean, there's not. It's Thursday, like Rutgers plays at Michigan. Okay, Rutgers isn't a tournament team. But no, Thursday is Barron, which frankly helps me on that end because I got to do some writing and stuff. So I got to build out some stuff here. So that is helpful. Friday, you've got UCLA at Purdue, 8 Eastern on Fox. That's a notable game. 2 tournament teams. Purdue has been sliding 4 losses in a row for the Boilermakers. And that's the old John Wooden game. John Wooden, the program he coached versus the program he played for, by the way, now Big Ten quote unquote rivals. That's your only notable game on Friday. Let the folks know what Saturday is all about.
I mean, in chronological order, I think Saturday's pretty loaded. Auburn at Kentucky, 1:00 on ABC. Yes, please. Yes, please. Watch out, Auburn. Watch out. Kentucky's getting healthy. We saw what they just did in Norman. This could be. Would it shock you if Auburn lost Saturday at Rupp?
No.
Yeah, same. Texas Tech at Kansas. It'd be nice if the Jayhawks, did something of relevance going into, the Big 12 tournament. This would be a nice start. I don't know if it's going to happen.
The news hook, real quick. Yeah, the news hook here. I didn't realize this was out there, but Adam Zagoria, who's also a New York City area reporter, texted Bill Self and asked, what I don't know what he asked him specifically, but this whole idea that Bill Self might be mulling retirement, I honestly don't know where this emanated from. I didn't even know it was a thing. But then Jeff Goodman also reached out to Bill Self, and Bill Self said, I'm not retiring. So I don't even know where this started, but Bill Self went on the record, said he's not retiring. I didn't think he was retiring. But anyway, that was a news thing that emerged on Wednesday.
2:00 tip at Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas hosting Texas Tech. 4:00, Alabama at Tennessee. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Yes. By the way, that is no longer Thompson Bowling Arena. It's now called Food City Center.
I don't accept it. So
woof. I mean, I'm sure Food City's paying a lot of money for that, but it's always going to be Thompson Bowling Arena to me, damn it. Cincinnati at Houston. You're on the Bearcats all of a sudden. Can they keep this close? This is a step up in weight class for them.
You talk about a game that can change your outlook of your season. That's a tough ask. I don't know if
it could extend your season, frankly.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the knit, but this is the difference between one postseason tournament or the other. Missouri at Vanderbilt, sneaky good game. Vanderbilt's been winning these games on Saturdays at home. I mean, they've got a pretty impressive collection of scalps there at Memorial Gym. This would be another one. That's a fun game, and Fanta's high on Missouri too, man. So, if you don't know about Missouri and Vanderbilt, let's go. 6:00, SEC Network. Beyond that, Texas A&M at Florida at 8:30. Not many folks mentioned in the light, or I guess in the wake of that Georgia loss. Classic look-ahead spot for Florida, man. College game day coming to town. You got to go to Georgia. Is it a great loss? No, but it's an understandable loss. Sandwich game, trap game. They lost at Stegman. Now they got to get up for Cash Bar Buzz and A&M. That's an 8:30 tip on SEC Network. Arizona, Iowa State, Hilton Magic, ? You got the Wildcats coming to town. That's a 9:00 tip. And late night viewing, what do we got? San Fran, Gonzaga, Saturday night?
Yeah, 11 Eastern, ESPN.
Don Zags. Anything on Sunday?
Hold on, you missed over a couple Saturday games. We got Xavier hosting Creighton, 4:30 on Fox. That's a big one for Xavier. I actually think Xavier is going to make the tournament. They're not in the field right now. They need to win this game, but I actually think Xavier is going to get into the field. I think they're gonna go on a run and get into the bracket. Georgia at Texas, double bubble game. That's 8 Eastern, ESPN2. Colorado State hosts Utah State. Colorado State's not in the field. I'm just bringing it up. Colorado State needs to win 4 in a row. They've got a huge opportunity at home against Utah State. That is a 4 Eastern FS1 game. I thought there was one more you didn't mention that was of note. Oklahoma plays at Ole Miss is one to keep an eye on there.
Pass.
They got. I know it's a pass for you, but Oklahoma now has to go on the road and play for its tournament life there. So more clarity to come over the weekend on Saturday. That's a good slate. Sunday, you've got Wisconsin at Michigan State. Apologies for the cough. 1:30 on CBS. That's a big game, followed by, it's a triple header, I think, on CBS. No, it's a triple header Saturday. It's a double header on Sunday. 3:45. You'll notice the staggered tip times. We know how to do it at CBS. It's a 1:30 tip Wisconsin, Michigan State, and then a 3:45 tip Illinois at Michigan. It's a wonderful double header on CBS on Sunday. Looking forward to it. The only real 2 games of note there. Memphis does play at UAB at 4 Eastern.
Of course they do.
It's possible that Memphis could get got in that situation. Memphis is obviously easily a tournament team. Keep an eye on that as well. But CBS is where you want to be on Sunday. All told, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's an A- slate to me.
Yeah, I won't push back on that. I mean, let's face it, we were all waking up on Saturday morning and realizing, what month is it?
It's March on Saturday.
That's correct.
It's
could have used a little bit more enthusiasm would have been nice, Norlander, but I'll give you a hall pass.
Saturday, baby.
Thank you. Because your throat, you didn't take your vitamins, you're not getting your exercise. You need to take care of your body. That's your instrument this time of year. Okay?
Yep.
Next time I talk to you, you need to be in better health.
Thank you. That's the case.
Thank you to John Fanta for giving us I love that man. He's a national treasure. He's an icon. Thanks to Fanta. Norlander, enjoy the weekend.
Now spinning this week, by the way.
We're out of time.
We are. Well, you want to tease what you got cooking?
Yeah, I'll tease it. I got the jam band bracket.
Finally. This is 2 years late.
And guess what? There's 64 bands.
He's got 64.
Full field.
and I don't know it yet. I want to learn it in real time on the show.
I need help promoting. Like, I don't know how to unveil this. Somebody just delivered a box outside my office. Thank you. Hopefully it doesn't have any anthrax in it from a listener. I think I need your help on unveiling this. Like, do we do it? We'll talk about it next week. We'll start
breaking it down. Well,
March is coming.
Reveal.
The Jam Band bracket is here. I've got it. All right. I printed a blank bracket from it's gorgeous. I need to work on some artwork. Anyway, we will discuss that next week. Everybody enjoy the games. Thank you to John Fanta. For Norlander, I'm Hartzell. See ya.